going to set the radial on the, I'm going to set the radial on the nav2 indicator, 009er, and I'm going to set 013 for the GPS course on the upper one. Let's just use the data ref editor to set it precisely. Okay, so this one goes to 13 degrees and the other one goes to 9 degrees. There you go. Okay, perfect. Is the chat still working? I don't see anybody posting, and I seem kind of frozen. Okay. Yeah, but my picture seems to be stationary. Whatever. Okay, here we're coming up. Here we are coming up, and we are now turning over the Fayetteville VOR, and it's probably somewhere down here. Well, here's there it is. There you can see the actual VOR station. Okay, there you go. So, and lo and behold, we're on the track to Hokmu Victor 136 Airway, magnetic track 102 right now, coming up to 103. And if we look at the actual OBS, we can see the 009er radial of the VOR coming in. And if I put on the ops mode of the GPS, we can see, if I just move this around here a little bit, you can see that the 009er radial of the VOR pretty much coincides with the 014 ops on the GPS, despite we're using the same station. And when I saw this, I thought it was a bug, but nope, it's not a bug. That's exactly how the real world works. Okay, so much for this demonstration. Let's discontinue this approach, this procedure, and actually go to our mysterious PK airport or whatever it is called. Five Whiskey 4. Oh, Jesus. There we go. PK Air Park, activate. Let's go there. And what do we want to do? We want to select an approach. There we go. VOR DME Alpha. We take the whatever that is called OSIRI initial approach transition and activate. Oh, and you can already see the arc segment here, the DME arc segment. So we activate this, put it in here. And let's fly down there and start the arc. Let's clean this up a little bit. There you go. Beautiful DME arc. All right. Okay. Oh yeah. By the way, this is no mistake that I'm moving my viewpoint to the co-pilot side, because I'm now so used to flying the 172 from the right seat. I haven't flown a plane from the left seat in a long time. Ever since I got my flight instructor rating. So I spent my weekends flying 152s and 172s from the right side. So naturally, when I go into a 172 in the sim, I put myself in the right seat. So to get the perspective that I have when I fly on the weekends. All right, then. Never before has the default 172 caught my attention. Yep, well, I'm here to educate. That's what I do. Okay, let's set a little bit of weather to make this approach a little more interesting. And put down the visibility a little bit to, I don't know. It's a non-precision approach after all. 2.5 miles maybe. There we go. Oops. Yeah. Oh, so what are we testing, demonstrating, teaching, or showing off today? Well, changes to the nav data and GPS system in X-Plane that I've been working on for a while. So the biggest change is that I rewrote the whole nav data stack that X-Plane and the various subsystems sit upon. You all know the problem that we had in X-Plane 10, where there's one database where the SIM lives off and another database where the GPS lives off, and then you want to go to a particular airport and that airport is in one database but not in the other, and we got a lot of bug reports about this. And sometime in February this year I decided that we need to fix that. So what I did is I took a look at the new Open Data Initiative of the Federal Aviation Administration, and I actually went to Washington, D.C. to the FAA headquarters on April 29th. I think I tweeted a bit from this trip to the FAA. So who's following me on Twitter already knows about this. And what we are doing with future X-Plane is we're tapping right into the FAA data sources, which means you can use the new Open Data FAA CIF files with X-Plane in the future, giving you all the instrument approaches, procedures for the continental US and Canada, and actually some of the Caribbean as well. Completely for free, updated every 4 weeks, directly from the horse's mouth, directly from the FAA. Load that into X-Plane. So if you're flying in the US, you get free nav data every month. For the rest of the world, we have devised, we have revised our current file format, made sure that it works equally well with the GPS and FMS systems and the rest of the SIM, unified it into one set of files so that you no longer have to keep several versions, like this is for the SIM, this is for the GPS, so that you no longer have this separation of files. And based on those revised files, also Aerosoft and Navigraph will then be giving you worldwide databases, of course. So the FAA stuff is only for US and Canada, and if you want to fly in Europe, you will still need to get your nav data from Aerosoft and or Navigraph, just like you used to. Aerosim gaming, yeah. This what I'm showing right now. This is not going to be an X-Plane 10.1050. The XPLM functions, I can't tell you right now because it's work in progress. I am working on it right now, so I can give you a definitive answer. No, if you want to fly in Europe, you are not screwed. You will still have the options that you already have right now with X-Plane 10, Navigraph, Aerosoft. They will provide monthly updates in the new data format as well. All right, we're coming up on the arc. So we are actually right here now. We're going to fly the 7 DME arc, and I'm going to descend down to 2,000 feet. And interesting fun fact, if you now use the distance to the VOR here on the nearest VOR page, you see you're actually, we are actually exactly 7 miles, 7.1 miles from the Fayetteville VOR, which is exactly, as it shows here on the chart, our arc distance. Fun fact, what I'm doing here right now in the sim is perfectly legal in the United States and is totally illegal in Europe. Why? Because if we look in this panel here, nav, com, ADF, transponder, what's not there? A fucking DME receiver. So, for IFR operations in the United States airspace, we can do what we are doing right now. We substitute the DME distance that we need with the GPS distance. Perfectly fine as far as the FAA is concerned. If the GPS says we are flying on a 7 miles arc, we are fine. Not so in Europe. If you're flying in European airspace, this is something you just cannot do. You have to install a physical, separate DME receiver in your plane in order to do this in Europe legally. And okay. So we are coming around the arc here nicely. And oh, we're supposed to be at 2,000 feet. Well, let's turn off the autopilot, reduce power, and go down to 2,000. By the way, flying the yeah, Pythagoras, exactly. Yep, that's exactly right. The difference, as JSnap 1982 points out, is of course the difference between 2D range and slant range. And the FAA says it's not, doesn't matter in terms of the accuracy of the NDB anyway. And in Europe we say nope, it's different. Okay, and of course right now I'm screwing this up because I'm used to flying DME arcs with an RMI. And flying a DME arc by hand is super easy if you have an RMI instrument in the panel. I can do this all day long, but without the RMI and tweaking your ops every 10 degrees, doing this, this gets kind of funny. All right, so we're coming up at the end of the arc at 2,000 feet, and now I'm going to demonstrate what I was talking about earlier again. So the chart says 282 radial of the Fayetteville VOR. So let's put this in the ops 2 here and see what it's doing. 282. There you go. And we're coming around here and the vertical guidance is active. I'm going to talk about the vertical guidance a little bit in a second. But right now let's take a look at what the GPS thinks our course is. And the GPS says it's heading it's desired track 287 degrees, where the chart says it's 282 degrees. Again, same thing. 282 is the radial based on the slaved VOR in the chart. 287, what the GPS says, is the actual magnetic track based on the magnetic variation as of today. And we can actually nicely see this here in the sim as well. Let's put the 282 on the nav2, 282, and the 287 on the nav1. And you can see here, if when we are flying the 287 radial on the GPS, we are precisely tracking the 282 radial on the VOR. 14.7 has vertical guidance, or is it coupled with the GPS approach data. What is 114.7?